Well, that was a weird Saturday night main event last night from Madison Square Garden. It had its moments. I wasn't down on it as harshly as a lot of people were, but I thought it could have had more. It told you where TKO's priorities lie. Again, just in case you've forgotten, we know where their priorities lie. With the just incessant need to include celebrities with every big story or every big star in WWE, TKO has this idea that star power is somehow going to translate to dollars, which it may in the very, very short term, but it's not a growth strategy. And yes, they're on ESPN, so they're trying to put their best foot forward with ESPN and show them, hey, look at all these stars and these sports stars that are coming into WWE. Never mind the fact that we paid them a king's ransom to come in and perform for us, but beyond that, hey, look at all these guys. Look at these stars. Aren't we relevant? Aren't we cool? This whole idea, and I'll get to the actual review of Saturday night's main event very quickly. I just want to say this off the top. It kind of came into focus for me, and I've talked about TKO and their strategy for WWE and the need for celebrities, and they just haven't learned their lesson yet of bringing in celebrities. And yes, they're in Madison Square Garden. Yes, I understand that's why they brought in Halliburton and Jalen Brunson. So that has been their strategy, right? And we've seen that time and again. But I think if you zoom out even more, what the larger picture is, whether this is by design or not, I would think it is, they are trying to reshape the way that you, the viewer, the casual viewer, you and I, and the general public view professional wrestling. They are trying to redefine what it means to be entertaining as a pro wrestling promotion. And they're trying to bring in the celebrities. Now, Vince used to do that. He'd bring in celebrities, but it wouldn't be this frequent. The ads, as we all know, tell a different story as well between what Vince allowed and what TKO has mandated with the advertisements in 4-minute blocks and all over every piece of canvas all the time for PLEs. But I think they are on a larger mission to reshape and reinvent the wheel with professional wrestling. And it tells you where their priorities lie. And it's this front and center here in Madison Square Garden. You have this segment with Jalen Brunson and Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins and Halliburton come out and have Seth Rollins attack Roman. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But the entire segment was longer than any single match on the show. Now, I know Roman Reigns is the face of the company. I know you're in Madison Square Garden. I knew, and you knew, if you have been even mildly following the NBA and the Knicks winning their championship for the first time in 53 years, that they were going to do something to make James Halliburton, not Halliburton, but making Brunson look good. And that's the primary focus here. And they did a decent job coming in off the street, so to speak. Although an MFer quote was caught by the camera. He told Seth Rollins that this is my house, motherfucker. That's what he said. And that was caught clearly on the microphone. Obviously not intentional, but that's what he said. So that's even beside the point. I'm not complaining about it. Just an interesting side note. But it's a larger view, zoom out type of issue I see here with TKO and what they're trying to do with professional wrestling. They aren't trying to conserve. They're not conserving anything. They're reshaping it in their own warped image of what wrestling should be. And it should concern you. And it obviously should concern TKO because the ticket prices aren't really helping sales for SummerSlam, which tells you it's really not about the ticket prices. It's about the fact that they don't have a hot product. And then you have to go, okay, well, if it's the product that's the problem and it's not hot, well, why isn't the product hot? And then you could go down a rabbit hole. But that's for them to figure out. I could give you a diagnosis. I can give you some of the symptoms of the problem. I can give you some of the perceived causes of the problem. I gave you some of it there. They're trying to redefine and reinvent the wheel. Don't do it. They're going to try. They're embarrassed to be a professional wrestling company. That's not how they would view themselves, but they are. You can try to put lipstick on a pig all you want. You can rename it, reimagine it. You can relabel it. But you are a wrestling company. Like it or not. And the wrestling fans are fighting back. They're fighting back by not buying tickets. And it's about damn time. Now they're trying to create a whole new consumer base. All right, well, let's not get into the business. Let's get into Saturday night's main event here. Which overall, I did not hate the show. I have very low expectations for Saturday night's main event because we have been told to do so. And Triple H said before the show, he was quoted as saying, it's going to be a special night. Yes, not epic tonight. It's going to be special. Not to be confused with epic. I have told you time and again, everybody, don't listen to anything Paul Levesque has to say about the upcoming event in terms of using these marketing adjectives, this corporate speak. It's going to be epic. It's going to be special. It's going to be historic. Oh, yeah? Tell me about exactly what about last night's event was special. Now, you could argue anything is special. It's special is something that is, it's very subjective. But don't let Triple H hype you up on anything. His entire job is to sell events. So what is he going to say? What is his, he's not going to give you honesty. He's going to give you what he's supposed to say. He's not going to ever come out here and say, hey, guys, look, we just wrapped up the creative for this. We didn't land where we wanted to. I would not expect tonight's show to be really exciting. There's going to be a lot of filler. It's a bit overpriced given the product that we're putting out in the ring. And thanks for the cash. No, he's never going to say that. Of course he's not. So anybody that's still listening to Triple H for any kind of breadcrumbs or cues as to how exciting or what could happen tonight, ignore him completely. Okay, let's talk about it. Trick Williams and Laredo Kid in a non-title match. Yes, this match came absolutely out of nowhere. Didn't expect it. No one did. Don't hate it. I know why they did it. They're trying to give Laredo Kid a little bit of airtime in front of a massive audience in Madison Square Garden. They're trying to plug the AAA show. I understand that. That's what they're doing. And that's fine. They have to kind of cross-promote within their own brand. I get it, but it was completely out of nowhere. And the match went 7 minutes, and it had Trick Williams win, which he should have. He's the United States champion. It was to showcase Laredo Kid. This had nothing to do with the United States Championship, nothing to do with Trick Williams. This was about AAA and Laredo Kid representing AAA. For those that may not have already taken a peek at it, it's another way to get you to try to watch more of their product. And I'm not faulting them for that. They're a business. It's fine. And the match was fine as well. By the way, Trick Williams got the trick shot and the 3 count. Stephanie McMahon then shows up. Boy, we're seeing way more of her than we ever asked for, aren't we? And she introduced Obafemi. He said he's 1-1 against Lesnar, as if we didn't already know that. I mean, we've heard that for weeks. But he said he's miles ahead of Brock in the mental game. And he said that he lives in Brock's head, and Brock's the one who retired and ran away. And he said that Brock needs to understand that he won't be locked inside the cell with Brock, but rather Brock will be locked inside the structure with him. And he talked about the fake police and the fake retirement. And the fans were eating up his entrance, eating up Obafemi in the ring. He did a good job. I have no issue with this. It's just more of the same. I feel like I've been hearing the same promo from Obafemi, though, for the last 6 weeks. It's not a bad one. I just feel like I haven't gotten anything new from Obafemi on the mic. Not easy to do, though, when you have your opponent barely there. So I understand. There's only so much you can do. But it does feel like it's rinse and repeat for this build. And it's a Hell in a Cell match, and I'm excited for it. It's fine. I don't even know if I'm really complaining, because I don't know what more you can do when your opponent is there one out of every 4 shows leading up to the event. I get it. But it's fine. So we'll see if they can do anything different over the next couple of weeks to really push it to the edge. Okay. Continuing. More backstage arrivals of Jalen Brunson and split screen shots of Bayley. And we then get Paige and Brie Bella versus Fallon Henley and Lainey Reed for the WWE Women's Tag Team Championships. And the match went just like a lot of other matches last night. 7 minutes with Fallon and Lainey winning the Women's Tag Team Championships after Jane interfered from the floor and was able to push Paige so that Reed ended up on top, kind of a reversal of a roll-up, and gets the 3 count. Thank God. We can move on. No Nikki Bella, that's a positive. But we did get a title change, which hopefully means that Paige can breathe a sigh of relief and say to herself, finally, I didn't come back here to be stuck in a tag team division and get no reaction, no mic time, and be a complete side conversation. No, Paige, when she's at her best, has a microphone in her hand. She's really good on the mic. We haven't seen that yet or been reminded of it yet. So I do hope, though, that even though they've dropped the belts, it doesn't guarantee that Paige is going to just drop Brie Bella like a bad habit. She could end up still in the division, maybe gets a rematch and loses that, and then she finally moves into the division she belongs in, which is, of course, the women's singles division. That's where she does her best work, and doesn't hopefully steps away from the tag team division altogether. And Nikki Bella can come back, and the Bellas can go on their hopefully retirement tour. So good, yay! It's a big step in the right direction for Paige. We then had Sami Zayn backstage. He said he wasn't or hasn't been talking much because he has to choose his words carefully. He said he's not a victim, but everything has happened to him has been egregious. And he said that CM Punk and Cody Rhodes just had to say when to get their SummerSlam championship match, whereas he had to fight for 10 years. It's a good point. He then said that, or rather, Gunther showed up and told Zayn to stay out of his way and not ruin SummerSlam for him. And we'll obviously talk about that in a little bit. Danhausen and JD McDonough in a no DQ match. You knew this was going to be hocus pocus, and boy, was it. So, okay. The match was what it was. You knew it was going to be silliness. Danhausen gets the victory. He should have. That's fine. At the end of the night, though, we had Karl Anthony Towns. Again, if you're not a Knicks fan or follow the NBA at all, none of these names mean anything to you. They're all just NBA players. They're all kind of falling under the same umbrella for you. So he came out from a cloning machine, and Danhausen and Towns headed to the ring, and Towns chokeslam McDonough, which was a just piss poor chokeslam. And I mean that had nothing to do with McDonough. Towns just looked like shit. And then he chokeslammed Dom through the table, and Cat cursed McDonough before Danhausen hit the Triple D for the win. And that's the Danhausen death drop. And he got the victory. So just, again, more silliness, more ridiculousness, more unnecessary, I think, injection of the NBA. I understand we're in Madison Square Garden. I get it. Knicks win a championship. It's huge, yes. But hey, guess what? You guys are not the NBA. You are rather the WWE, which means you are World Wrestling Entertainment. You want the crossover. I understand that. You want the highlight on ESPN. I understand that. But this is just more evidence for the case of fuck the fans. We want to rewrite what wrestling is. We're going to do whatever we need to do to get attention. The hell with the intelligence of the casual fan. So, whatever. This was too much for me. Too much celebrity interference. But I knew the match was going to be silly, and it's fine for what it was. And Danhausen getting the victory was good. I would like to see JD in more of a prominent position, though. Wrestling for at least United States Intercontinental Championship. It doesn't have to win the title, but JD has been pushed around, shoved around, and disrespected in the Judgment Day for long enough. I would like to see him have some kind of breakout performance because he's good. He's really good. So, all right, this was, definitely one for the kids. All right. So we have then Lyra Valkyria speak with Kathy Kelly. She complained that Bayley was not who she needed her to be. All right. And then we had Fanatics CEO Michael Rubin and the comedian Jeff Ross and the Eagles cornerback Cooper DeJean. I don't even know who the fuck these people are. I literally don't know who Jeff Ross is, the Eagles cornerback. I couldn't tell you if my life was on the line. So if it were not for this review, I would have forgotten their names. But they were shown separately seated in the crowd. Again, it's a who's who. Look how cool it is. If the celebrities are watching and they're here, then it must be cool. I guess that's the logic we're supposed to infer from all of this celebrity involvement. Okay, we got Bayley and Lyra. 10 minutes and 30 seconds. Lyra wins. The match was good. I really enjoyed this match because it was Lyra's coming out party. And I don't mean that in a facetious way or like, oh, she's bisexual. No. Like, it was her coming out party in the sense that Lyra has arrived. I just said that so it's clear. So anyway, good match. This was just a great visual for Lyra. She got a little bit of a bloody lip or something along the way. Bayley loses. She passes out from the submission, but that's not enough for Lyra, who continues to attack her, puts her back in the submission. It was good. And the Nightwing onto the bottom half of the steps, good. Bayley is at this point being used to push new stars forward, and that's fine. I mentioned earlier that I don't think she'll ever win a championship again. I really believe that. But you can still use her in a very valuable way because she's one of the OGs. And when you have a new star beating down this old guard, it helps both parties because Bayley hasn't done much of anything of significance as of the last several years. I mean, she had her personality change. Remember, we could hear her voices. Remember that whole thing? She brought in the damage control group that was largely a complete disaster. But for the most part, Bayley has been quiet for years. And having her at this point, helping Lyra get to where she wants to be, is better than nothing. If you're a Bayley fan, it's either this or they just don't use her at all. Because I don't think that they're going to put her in a position to win a championship again. I could be wrong. I'm not rooting for that to happen, but look at the evidence for it. So, good. We did have then a SmackDown highlight segment kind of follow this. It was the CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, and Gunther and Sami Zayn kind of just mash up there. And then we had Cody backstage interviewed by Kathy Kelly, and said he wasn't surprised that she didn't ask the age-old question of whether he and Punk could coexist. Cody said that, of course, they would. He added that he didn't want Punk to have any excuses when he beats him at SummerSlam, and Punk smiled and delivered a line about not wanting Cody to have any excuses. And Punk recalled telling Cody he would go out with him, and Cody comes out. And he's on all fours, he kisses the mat, and then Punk followed, and it's clobbering time. So CM Punk and Cody Rhodes and Gunther and Sami Zayn here are the main event, or they should have been. We'll talk about that. We got a ref bump. Yes, we did. We got the obligatory ref bump in this matchup, and it did go a total of 15 minutes. Almost criminally short. These four men could have gone 30, but it's not to be. It ends with CM Punk and Cody Rhodes winning. Why? Well, Nick Aldis. Nick Aldis shows up, screws Gunther, hits him in the head with a championship. Wham. GTS. Good night. There is no fatal four-way for SummerSlam. Now, the match was good, as expected. These four men, I had high hopes for this matchup. And it delivered, but they only could do so much in 15 minutes. And that sounds like a lot, but given the talent pool of this collective group of four men, they could, as I said, gone 30 minutes or more. I would have liked to have seen 20. It was good for what it was. And all this showing up made sense. You knew that they were building to this. We've all known for a long time now that Aldis is going to be the guy that is going to face Gunther for SummerSlam. And it has been made official, by the way, too. This is not anymore just innuendo. In the post-conference with Triple H, there was a segment with with Aldis and with Gunther. They once again brawled, and then Triple H said it's official for SummerSlam. Same thing for Cody and Punk. There was some tension there, and I know they had some interactions in their tag team match, but the post-show for Punk and for Cody showed a little bit more of an edge for Cody. There's some hints there if you're looking for a potential heel turn, because Cody said he's not apologizing for anything, and that he said that was by accident, but this isn't. And then he turns into some physicality there. So there is some evidence, if you're digging for it, that we could see a Cody Rhodes heel turn at SummerSlam. It's possible. I would say even more than possible. I would say there's a significant chance, meaning like 25 to 30%. That's significant. Okay. So good match. The outcome made sense. Now, again, if you listen to my preview show, I was really more interested, not even in the fact that it was more likely that Cody Rhodes and CM Punk are going to win to keep it one-on-one, and that, yes, Gunther and Aldis are going to face each other, but where the hell's Sammy go? What is his path? Can anybody tell me? Does he show up and just screw someone? Does he special referee? There's really no third option. He can't be put into the championship match. You would think the option of leaving him off the show is not an option. So if that's not an option and you got to put him on somehow, it's in someone's corner or sitting ringside, and you don't know what he's going to do, or he's special referee. But you can't leave Sammy out of SummerSlam completely. Can you? Okay. Well, then we get the main event of the show, but not to be outdone by Eli Manning, who narrated a video about Jalen Brunson being the king of New York. Because now we've got to get as many names as possible, celebrity-wise, as I've said many, many times. All right, so there are now WWE is now selling, and they even said it on their show, $25 tickets for SummerSlam. If you use the code, was it JJETS? I guess you can get a $25 ticket to SummerSlam. which again is not going to solve their problem because their problem is larger than ticket prices. If the fans that are not local don't feel that flying to Minneapolis, again, not exactly a vacation destination for many reasons, but the flight, the hotel, the food, the ancillary expenses, if you're bringing more than one person, maybe a significant other or a family, if you're rich, that's a lot beyond the ticket prices. Even if you gave them away for free, I don't know how much that would actually increase prices or increase sales, because there are so many other factors to consider when going to SummerSlam. And ultimately, if the consumer decides that all of the inconvenience and side expenses that are beyond the ticket prices don't outweigh the value you're going to receive for doing and undertaking all of said burdens, they're not going to go. And right now, the product's not hot enough for a lot of people to figure out ways to spend the money to come. They don't feel it's worth it. Bottom line, your product is not as hot as you need it to be. That is ultimately it. So Jalen Brunson was shown walking backstage, and he had a brace on his hand. As I've said, he had surgery, but he walked past a group of applauding people backstage. I mean, they were just a group short of people on their knees bowing to him. It was a little over the top. He greeted Carl Anthony Towns. Roman Reigns popped out and greeted Brunson, and they headed to the gorilla position together. And then they came out. Now, before I get to the nitty gritty of this is the main event, not the wrestling. You know, on a wrestling show, there's supposed to be wrestling. Instead of just trying to showcase that your product is cool because you have the Knicks on your show. Yeah. So, guys, this is your main event. Now, I did not think this segment was horrible like many people did. I really didn't. I've seen so many top podcasters and Wrestling Observer hosts and some of the big actual streamers like Santi Zap and others that really hated this segment and thought it was the worst thing that they produced in the 2010s. I've seen someone say that. What are you talking about? I mean, I in principle, I agree that the position of this tells you all you need to know about what TKO thinks of professional wrestling. The fact that they have a non-wrestling event with non-wrestlers as your main event tells you all you need to know about their respect for pro wrestling and its heritage. So I take issue with the position of this more than I actually do the execution of it. Is it also egregious that this segment was longer than any match and 3 times longer than most matches when you look at the numbers? Yeah, it's a little insulting. Again, just supporting our theory here about what TKO thinks about professional wrestling as a whole and what they're trying to do to redefine it to casual fans and to the non-fan that they're trying to bring in and really just kind of create their own fan, which is not going to happen. But I really didn't think outside of that this was that bad. It didn't. So many people hated this so much. It wasn't good. I'm not going to rewatch it ever in my life voluntarily, ever. But I did not think it was the worst segment ever. It was too long. It was too glad-handing and circle-jerking the Knicks. Yes. But the execution of it, okay, Jalen Brunson comes out. He does his thing. Roman gives him the championship, and Roman is essentially putting flowers at the feet of Jalen Brunson. And again, they're all just basically blowing him all night. Yeah, I'm getting a little graphic because that's how I felt, but this is not a family show. So they're doing all this for Jalen Brunson. And then Seth Rollins' music hits, and Seth Rollins doesn't come out, but Halliburton does, his nemesis. They were very excited about telling us that that's his nemesis. So we're supposed to somehow take an NBA rivalry and I guess kind of put a square peg in a round hole and go, whoa, well, that's kind of like a WWE story. No, not really, but okay, fine. Halliburton's got a chair, didn't really do anything with it. And Seth Rollins then attacks Roman Reigns from behind. Jalen Brunson has to stand there and watch. You knew he wasn't going to get physically involved because, again, as I said, he had surgery. He's not going to risk anything in the ring, taking any kind of bumps. But after Seth beats down Reigns, we have Brunson stand in the way of Rollins, who's about to stomp Roman on a chair. And that allows Roman to recover, hit a Superman punch and a spear, and stand tall with Jalen Brunson. That's the gist of the segment. I'm not getting every little piece of the pie here, but that's the essence of it. And the pyro shot off. They both held their fingers up. And that's it. It ends with a non-wrestling event. Again, let me read you some analysis here so I can give you some context and respond. And this is a good point to bring up because I'll expand on it. The analysis I'm reading says, while this was surely fun for Knicks fans and maybe some of the other NBA fans, I lost interest in the NBA years ago. So I felt like a segment that this one belonged on was for an MSG house show. The Punk and Cody and Gunther match was enjoyable. The rest of the show had a title change in a moment or two, but this was mostly a waste of 2 hours. Again, yeah, a little harsh. Everybody seems to be really, really harsh. I thought it was a average Saturday night main event. And really, that's kind of it. I don't know who's paying premium prices to go to Saturday night main event anymore. We've seen what it is and what it's not. And it always leaves a lot to be desired. So if you went in with that mentality, maybe you wouldn't be so disappointed. So maybe that's why I'm kind of ho-hum on it. But the point I was going to expand on is, yeah, this is clearly for the hometown crowd. So 99.99999% of your audience that is watching this is at home. And you are really doing this for the small fraction of the fans that actually exist. You're doing it for them. But are you? See, again, they're not doing this even for those in attendance. They're using the people that are in attendance to get the desired reaction for said NBA stars because they would. They are in a city that has been starved for an NBA championship for 5 decades. More than that. And they knew that they would get that reaction. So now they're going to be able to play those highlights of people going crazy and chanting Jalen Brunson's name. He's the king of New York. Oh, cool. What's he doing with WWE? Well, WWE must be cool again. Again, that's the image. They're using that as a highlight reel that they hopefully can be played on ESPN and shared across social media that people will then try to, hopefully, in WWE's eyes, rethink about what professional wrestling is and that it's evolved and it's not so stingy and just about wrestling anymore. And look at the people that are here and the star power. That's the goal. They knew that this is just for the fans in attendance, but they're using the fans in attendance to actually achieve a larger goal, which is, of course, redefining pro wrestling in the eyes of the casual viewer because everybody shares everything on social media now. And this is, in their mind, probably going to be on ESPN and everything else. So that's really how I view it. So kind of a weird show. But yes, largely forgettable. And now we can move on to the true main event, which, of course, is SummerSlam, which is only a couple weeks away. SummerSlam is upon us. So we have some time here to analyze. This is the true big event of the summer. The next big event that I'm eyeing, of course, is the Royal Rumble. I'm skipping over Survivor Series. I have to say Survivor Series these days for me is it's been, I think, defined down because of the actual War Games match. It's now built into the schedule. It's not the same as saying, well, Money in the Bank's built every year. Yeah, but Money in the Bank is inherently a singles competitor matchup. You don't need to kind of fake force teams like together to create a match like you do with Survivor Series. Now, it's no longer about the 5-on-5 traditional elimination matchup. It's now putting teams together which again, we already know is probably going to be the Bloodline in one corner. At least the Bloodline will be in one half of that matchup. You just know they will because that's their destiny every November. So, in other news, I think I did report on this already. Those who have been paying attention to my feed. Tom Brady is saying that he wants a match in WWE. Once again, add him to the pile of celebrities that WWE is desperately trying to use to get viewership. That's all this is about. And I hope it doesn't happen. Because Tom Brady, again, I know why they brought him in. I've already discussed that. We've discussed the strategy, I think, that of what's going on, the larger macro view of what they're trying to do. But Tom Brady, I really don't want in for even a deeper reason. Because he actually insulted the product itself on camera just a couple months ago. Talking about how what the WWE wrestlers do is fake and how his linemen would beat them up, and it's a my dad would beat up your dad scenario. And he insulted the product. Clearly is not a fan of the product. The way he talks about it was very much an immature take. As if it's some kind of revelation that we didn't know that pro wrestling is a sport that's produced and predetermined. Like, yeah, like, okay, Tom, thanks. Thanks for telling us. Maybe do you have any of the revelations? Like, is grass, what color is grass? Can you tell us? I really have a bit of a quandary there. I don't know what the color of grass is. I really don't. And also, if you have any information on this big bright light in the sky, I don't know what that is. If you can define that too, it'd be a real lifesaver, man. That's the shit that Tom Brady gave to us that we're supposed to just be in awe about, that he knows that pro wrestling isn't quote unquote real in the true competitive sense. So my point about all this and being a jerk, which I apologize 0% for, is that he disrespected the product and now he wants a payday. No. Now it shouldn't work like that. WWE should not, or TKO, should not reward people that insult the product with a paycheck. But in TKO's mind, they're looking at Tom Brady going, that's our guy. He gets it. He knows it ain't real. See? Here's a fat check. Come on over to WWE, have a match, and thanks for the viewership. It's a very warped relationship that WWE, or really TKO, has with the fans, with the celebrities, but it all comes down to cash. And if you don't speak their language of cash, they don't know what you're saying. You might as well be speaking a foreign language. The minute you start talking or showing cash, real money, tangible money, suddenly they can understand what you're doing. It all comes into focus. They know what you mean. Funny how that works. But that is, of course, all they are focused on. Alrighty, well, that's it for me on this Saturday night's main event review. If you want more long-form audio, of course, you can find me anywhere that podcasts are available. You can go ad-free at patreon.com/WWE podcast. You can check me out on X or TikTok, anywhere that social media allows podcast platforms to be. So thank you, everyone. I'll be back in a couple of days with your Monday Night Raw review. Until then, take care.
Thanks for listening to the WWE Podcast. Don't forget to subscribe on your favorite podcast app so you don't miss a show, or head to WWEpodcast.com. And for all of these shows ad-free, head over to patreon.com/WWE Podcast. Until then, we'll see you next time.